What is up, everyone? Thank you for joining us for a last minute late night edition of the Red and Gold Standard podcast. We are doing the preview for the 49ers at the Buffalo Bills. It's a holiday week, so it's kind of weird. Zach is unable to join us tonight, so I am joined by my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mike Andrews from Nothing But Niners. How you doing, Mike?
Oh, let's go! What's going on, everybody, man? Listen, you guys know I got the sound effect buttons over here, so I was just happy to push it. I'm sorry. No, I'm good, man. This is going to be I would like to say it's going to be a fun episode, but I also believe in being completely honest with people, and I don't know how positive I'm going to be as we preview this, but as far as how I'm actually physically doing, right? Holiday time of the year can be rough for a lot of people. It wasn't a rough one for me. We had a good time with my family. I hung out with my in-laws for the first half of the day, literally left around halftime of the second football game, got to the house with my family. My mom's a Cowboys fan, finished up that game with them and spent the rest of the night over there. And then boom, came home and chilled for the rest of the night, little after 12:30 over here on the East Coast, and then went to work very early the next day. So I'm doing well. Family is doing good. And how about yourself, Matt? Man, how was the holidays for you?
So we actually had ours last Sunday, and so I got to avoid pretty much most of the debacle that was Green Bay and San Francisco, which we don't even need to talk about. It was embarrassing. There was nothing positive to take out of that game. We can just move on from that because I actually worked. I was at the hospital for Thanksgiving Day, so some time and a half. It's nice. To me, I would say Thanksgiving is probably my least favorite of the holidays. It's essentially a big dinner, and it's cool to get together with family, but it's not one that I feel like has to be done on the day. You know what I mean? Like I have a daughter, and you know how it is with kids, right? Christmas quickly becomes the most important one. That's the one that's everybody is geared up for, especially once your kids realize what's going on. You start to do the Santa thing and everything, and it becomes really exciting. My daughter's a little too young for that. And obviously the second one's not here yet. So, once they're both here and into it, and, me and my wife love Christmas anyway. So it's just going to be, gravy from there. So.
I don't know how many shows I've missed with you and Zach, but you just said the second one. Have you guys?
Oh, yeah. No, my wife's pregnant. She's like halfway through.
Yeah, I don't know if you have said that to the audience or not yet, but congrats, man.
I can't remember. I've told so many people, man. At this point, I'm like, okay, who have I told? Who have I not told? So
let's go, man. Make those damn babies, man. That's what I'm talking about. Man, Matt over there getting busy. All right, sorry.
We got a $5 super chat already from our guy Sean. He said, F no, can't do.
Okay, so, and you probably don't know what that's in response to. The title of my episode on Nothing But Niners is "Can We Do It?" So that's that's his answer right there, man. Yeah. And listen, I don't know if I'm going to disagree with him. I'll try to put a positive spin on it a little bit later, but we'll get to all that. You said you didn't really want to go into the last game,
Green Bay,
but
honestly, I didn't watch a ton of the game. I just caught highlights. I didn't feel like, when I saw the final score, I was like, what am I even going to watch this for? And by all accounts, the game was one of seeming sheer lack of effort, where it looks like the team just quit on the game. And so to me, that speaks dividends and volumes of what the season has been for the 49ers and what all of this has been adding up to this point. And so it's well, I kind of pegged them for losing these next two, and it's disappointing that they decided to lay such a gigantic egg,
right.
So, but I don't want to take away from your thoughts on the game. I just don't want to speak out of a place of where I don't really have an opinion on what the game actually was, because I really didn't watch it. So why don't you catch me up and what was your takeaways from it?
Yeah, so for me, it's less about a recap. It was a shit game. It was a bad game. Like you said, the effort. There was no effort. I didn't expect us to win the game once I found out Purdy wasn't in and Trent wasn't in. Like once you found out who wasn't playing for the Niners, Bosa wasn't playing and all that stuff, it's kind of like, all right, like we're gonna go out there and lay an egg. I just want us to be competitive. The disappointing part was that we weren't competitive. We abandoned the run game when we didn't need to and things like that. So it's like, all right, I'm questioning Kyle and all. I'm questioning the heart of the team. I'm wondering how many guys are tapping out. And then 2 days ago, Kyle comes out with the injury report and says who's not playing. I don't know if you have that list or not, but if you don't, I can pull it up. But he comes out and says who's not playing. And really, the only person that we're getting back who didn't play last week is Charvarius Ward and Brock Purdy. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know how much of a difference that's going to make in this weather. The entire left side of the offensive line is going to be replacement guys, and so I know we're going to get to it and all. But what I was going to ask you was, knowing it was a lack of effort, and hearing how many guys are just straight up not playing in this game, decided early on, not game time decisions. How do you go from a game time decision to being declared out 3 days before the game? Right? So it's that means you got worse throughout the week, or did you just decide you don't want to play? Now I'm questioning the integrity and the intention and the will to go out there and actually suit up by some of these guys.
I feel like we're singling somebody out. I don't know. Do you feel like you need to name names? Was it somebody who might have been scooting around the campus?
There you go. So you got me, right? So it's like Trent Williams, you were a game time decision. You're a captain.
Yep.
So, right? So, if the captain's a game time decision and you can't go, cool. We're all going to chalk that up as, hey, he gave it his best effort, right? But now all of a sudden, without practicing, without doing anything physical on that knee that we know of, other than putting it on a knee scooter, you're declared out 3 days before the actual game. That tells me that you just decided you don't want to go. And that tells me that there's a mentality permeating through this building, Matt. And I'm more concerned now than when I was last week.
That makes a lot of sense. It's hard, what is it? Is it Kyle's messaging, which I don't really think it is. Everybody that you speak to still is buying into the overall Kyle Shanahan thing, but there's just a sauce that's missing. And I wonder if it's the fact that the team has played so many games in the last 5 seasons, gone so late into the season. And again, and I think somebody, again, I think it was Grant, but he put up, the Jaguars have played the same number of games. And it's they haven't gone as late into the season. And that definitely makes a difference when you're playing into early January versus February. You know what I mean? Those 3 weeks, those 4, that's a lot of rest for guys, or getting a jump start on rehab and off season. These guys have played a lot. And again, this is such a snake bitten team. You look at Aaron Banks out, Nick Bosa out, Jordan Elliott out, Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles questionable, Deommodore Lenoir out, Christian McCaffrey still dealing with the dual Achilles thing, Trent Williams out, Kevin Givens is on the injury report, Renardo Green on the injury report, Dre Greenlaw just got activated after ripping up his Achilles. Dominic
Wait, is that official?
on the Dre Greenlaw's he's not active for the game, but they opened his practice window.
Okay, all right. I was going to say,
so he's been practicing
activated. I thought he was bumped up to the 53. Okay.
No. They opened his practice window. But Dominic Pooney, has a shoulder. Brock Purdy has, been banged up. Jacob Cowing has been in concussion protocol for 2 weeks now. Chris Conley showed up on the injury report at some point, and then Charvarius Ward, obviously with the tragic loss of his child. It's one of those things where I really do think that this team has an even year jinx. Every even year, it seems like something catastrophic happens, right? You go to 2018, they feel good coming off the last 5 games of Jimmy G. And then week 3, Kansas City tears his ACL. Season is essentially over. It's the Nick Mullins show at that point. Terrible season for everybody not named George Kittle at that point, right? 2019 Super Bowl. 2020, we all know 2020, right? What was it? Revenge tour or whatever, and it turned into the rehab tour.
That was also the COVID year.
That was also the COVID year. We had 2021. They get to the NFC Championship game. They do lose a heartbreaker, but I thought we pushed that team, particularly with Jimmy Garoppolo and the offense, as far as it was going to possibly go at that point. And then you get to 2022 with Brock Purdy coming out of nowhere, looking really, really good, right? And did anybody really believe, with the way the 49ers moved the ball in that opening drive against the Eagles, that they weren't going to be able to win that game? I thought that they had a really good shot at winning that game. And if it's Philadelphia, that year, I think the 49ers would have won the Super Bowl, but then you get that Hassan Reddick hit to Brock Purdy, blow out his elbow. Last year they make the Super Bowl, don't win. This year it's another 2020, right? It just looks. This team just seems snake bitten in even years. I don't know what it is, but it just seems like that. And I think this team has been through so much. A lot of this core has been together for so long that a lot of these guys are like, God damn, again? We're doing this again? Like, you know, and I think it wears on you, you know.
Mentally.
And by the way, shout outs to certain players that we know are going to play hard. Like, you know, everybody was like, what happened to Fred? Well, apparently he's had a broken ankle for the last, 9 weeks or whatever. So,
which, by the way, like, he should have never said at the microphone.
Sure.
He's never been on an injury report. He still has not shown up on an injury report.
Nope. Yep.
But
I know.
Wayne
and that's questionable, right?
We were debating, do you have
involved.
do you have to report it if the player is a full participant in practice still? Even with the bad ankle, right? Do you have to report it? So that's the Niners kind of have a legal out there, so I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah. Another super chat from Sean real quick.
Yeah.
Yep. After the Green Bay loss, you dare title the show that. I had faith for teams we should beat. This is the worst vibe and effort of any Shanny team. We are going to get clowned. When is Chris Kocurek going to get canned?
Yeah.
Probably after the season.
No. If there's anybody that I believe is safe, Chris Kocurek. Now, I believe let me be clear. On my channel, I've been saying that Chris Kocurek is the most overrated guy. I've probably said it on your show a couple of times as well. I think he's the most
I'm on board with you for that.
Position coach. I don't think that there's no value there. I just think he's the most overrated position coach. This is a guy that passes up the coordinator position to stay defensive line, and the defensive linemen just don't do it. For him being this grand wizard that they think he is, they're all saying that because of the guy that we picked up, had a good year, then went to Seattle and did absolutely no. Was it Hurst?
Kerry Hyder.
Hyder, that's who it was.
Kerry Hyder.
Like all of a sudden, like he's a wizard because of what he did with Kerry Hyder, and it's like, yeah, you guys are like really running that.
Can we actually touch on this, because I don't think that we were able to, and it was something specific that I wanted to point out and talk about.
Touch on it. Make him uncomfortable.
When Nick Bosa left the game with the hip injury after sacking Kyler Murray against Arizona. Chris Kocurek's defense outside of Nick Bosa has literally no juice. No juice. Notwithstanding, they didn't get any pressure after Nick Bosa left. They gave up multiple points, right? At that point, I think the defense had given up 6 points and then gave up 14 in the last quarter to Arizona. And don't let anything fool you. Leonard Floyd did have 2 sacks. I'm looking at the sheet right now, but that looks like about it.
Right. And the sacks were large. Well, in my opinion, one of them
coverage.
One was coverage for sure.
Yeah.
Great effort by him, but
sure. And again, sometimes these mobile quarterbacks like a Jordan Love, like the people that aren't a pure running threat like a Lamar Jackson, they will scramble themselves into a sack.
Exactly.
Trying to extend a play. We've seen it from Brock Purdy too. He'll do that too. But it was so readily apparent to me that Chris Kocurek has been living off of the back of Nick Bosa's effort. Nick Bosa makes that entire defensive line go because Nick Bosa has to face the double teams, because Nick Bosa's win rate, if you're looking at like win rate and his pressure rate, are amongst the best in the league, right? Don't let these people out there fool you who tell you that Nick Bosa isn't even in the same class as a TJ Watt. That's some bullshit, Rich Madrid. But
right.
It's ridiculous. He's actually eating up and pushing quarterbacks into sacks for other players. He's letting everybody else eat, even if he's not getting sacks himself. And the air just flew right out of the balloon as soon as Nick Bosa left. And I cannot stand the fact that this dude has made a reputation off of doing absolutely nothing, because how many groceries do you have to throw at somebody for them to make a fucking bowl of cereal?
Exactly. Right. And so here's the thing. The Niners themselves convinced themselves that Kocurek was the guy, and for the first time didn't pick up any defensive linemen in the draft. And we were like, oh boy, they must be really confident in the talent they have. And then Hargrave never shows up. But now that Bosa's down, and I want to remind everybody, we all wanted Robert Saleh gone until he got Nick Bosa and D Ford. That's when the tide changed. And then you transition from Robert Saleh to D'Amico, and D'Amico had Bosa the entire time. I don't think it's a coincidence, guys. I really, really don't think it's a coincidence at all. And so I'm starting to question, and this is why I say he's the most overrated position coach out there.
And here's the other thing too. He's been the defensive line coach the whole time, right?
Yes.
Okay, who the fuck has he identified as the talent outside of Nick Bosa, who was like so in your face obvious as a generational pass rusher that we like were extremely happy when Arizona passed up on him for Kyler Murray in the draft in 2019. Who else?
That was just
he drafted Drake Jackson. Where the fuck is that guy?
Right. And more importantly, we have to remember where he made his name, and that was over in Detroit with Ndamukong Suh. So, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and credit this guy for being some world beater, this great defensive line coach. Now, I know nothing about coaching the defensive line, but what I am confident in saying is he's overrated.
Oh, for sure. But at some point or another, you're going to look at these positions and would you be – so who gets the axe? They just gave, a one-and-done season to Wilkes. Are they going to do it again with Sorensen?
They better.
I mean,
Sorensen is worse than Wilkes was in every. Sorensen
for sure.
is worse than Saleh was his first year.
For sure.
Like the numbers are out there. So I saw a graph with the efficiency and the ratings of like the 49ers defenses since the Niners, since Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch came in, and to this point, Sorensen is behind all of those defenses.
Oh yeah. And let's not give Brandon Staley a pass, who has brought that bad juju from the Chargers over to the 49ers.
Can't finish games.
Can't finish games. And I'm sure that there is, not to let Sorensen completely off the hook, but there is probably a little bit of deference to the more experienced coach in certain situations. Well, that's just a natural thing that happens, but you ultimately bear responsibility if you continue to let it happen. And so that's what you have to look at.
So and that's what the issue is that we're facing right now, right? So you think back to all those Chargers years, and they would have leads going into the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter, and then when they have to get a stop, they just couldn't do it, right? That's how they end up losing so many one-score games, right? And it's like, all right, so what is the inexperienced guy going to do? He's going to lean on the guy that's been a defensive coordinator, a successful defensive coordinator, and his plan clearly doesn't work. So I would imagine that both of those guys are gone.
Yeah. Real quick, Nigel Crane, I see you. Thank you for the $2 super chat. If Michigan can ouster OSU, can 49ers versus Bills? We will get to that. I just want it. You've been there long enough. We'll come back to this. Okay.
I think that was supposed to say upset, by the way.
Upset. Yeah. And by the way, I'm sorry, Mike. I'm super happy about that because fuck Ohio State. I'm a Michigan fan. So
I got something in my eye. I'm sorry. It's okay. By the way, I'm happy about it because hopefully that is the nail in the coffin for Day and Chip Kelly.
Oh, dude! If he's lost 4 straight to Michigan, he's going to get fired. Unless they win a natty, he's getting fired.
They're not. I think that knocked us out of the playoffs.
I don't think it'll knock you out.
We were number 2, and we lost to an unranked team.
I know you're still a 10-2. You won't fall lower than like 9. Peter, super chat, $4.99. Thank you so much for that. The issue is Sorensen. He got the keys to a Maserati, but doesn't know how to drive it. We said shit to Wilkes, but it seems the in-hire was a clown move. Now, just because Sorensen is worse than Wilkes doesn't mean that Wilkes was not without his problems. I just want to make that clear.
Wilkes
but I think that it does cause a little bit of reflection on how much Wilkes was scapegoated. So there's obviously, and that's why I think that Coach Kasarik is going to be gone because he's survived all of these defensive coordinators. He survived them all. And guess what? That line does not produce outside of Nick Bosa. So he oversaw the choice of,
No, go ahead. He oversaw the choice of.
He oversaw the choice of Eric Armstead over Buckner. Mm-hmm. He oversaw the drafting of Drake Jackson. He oversaw the trade for D Ford, knowing that he was an injury risk. He oversaw the signing of basically replacement level players brought in to just chew up snaps. He oversaw, again, disastrous drafts, Drake Jackson being one of them, Javon Kinlaw being another, the Hargrave signing. He's overseen and gotten the least amount out of the most talent. And there's a part of me that wonders if Nick Bosa wouldn't break the sack record if somebody who was a better defensive line coach was coaching him.
Exactly. You got guys like Hurst that was brought in here. You have guys. What was the other? Colin Farrell.
Yep.
They brought in
Charles
all
Omenihu, Kerry
Yeah.
Hyder.
They brought Hyder back and didn't do anything.
Didn't
with
do
him.
anything.
Like so it was one of those.
Malik Collins was nice for 7th, but he's not exactly stuffing the stat sheet. T.Y. McGill is still here, not doing anything. You draft Kalia Davis, who's talented, but also can't stay on the field. And
what about the other Davis that they brought in? Where's he at?
Yeah. Or Yetter Gross Matos, who hasn't done anything. You go through all of these things,
He had one good play. I remember saying his name on.
Sure. One good play. We're trying to get a good season. You know what I mean? And it's not good enough. It's just not good enough.
Arden Key was the other one. Good call there.
Arden Key. Yep.
Arden Key, they've been throwing bodies at the defensive line position more than any other position. Here's the reason I raised my hand. We were talking about getting rid of Kosaric, getting rid of Sorensen, and getting rid of Staley, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kyle has yet to hire from outside the building, other than Wilkes, and even that was a scapegoat from this time he got here because he wasn't allowed to bring anybody with him. And it was this: we're going to run the same system. So, do you have confidence in Kyle Shanahan to hire anyone from outside? Because if he's just going to promote from within, expect the same exact thing, except more steps back is what I'm expecting. I have no confidence in this front office and Kyle to approve the hiring of anybody on the defensive side of the ball.
But so is it? I don't know. I wonder how much of it is Kyle and how much of it is like John giving him suggestions. Again, that's one of the things that I wish we had more transparency about is like how much is John Lynch actually contributing? How much is he just the forward-facing presence of the franchise or the front office? I feel like he has some finger on the pulse of like player, choices and who they go after in free agency. He's clearly liked by a lot of executives around the league. Obviously, famously, we all know that Belichick called him about Jimmy Garoppolo and was like trying to do him a favor. I don't know. It just a lot of blame goes to Kyle, and rightfully so. He's the head coach. But Kyle is an offensive guy. And again, I wonder if when you're paired up with a Hall of Fame GM, who's a defensive player, by the way, how much do you go, hey, do you like know a guy? Like, who would you recommend in this circumstance? And of course, he's going to put his own opinion into the choice, but I feel like it's something that they would go in on at least partially together. It's not like Kyle is going to go, yeah, no, John, you suck. I don't trust you. I'm going to get my own guy.
Yeah, exactly. And shout out to all the super chats. I see we got 5 of them.
Yes.
Let me play those sounds for you guys. I should have been doing it as soon as we popped them up on the screen. That's 3, 4, and then here's the 5th one now on the screen.
Yep. Sean says, I'm just happy that you are both happy. Good White Friday. I don't know that reference. It's Saturday today,
maybe he
right?
didn't want to say Black
mistaken,
Friday.
Right?
Well, on the West Coast. He's on the West Coast with you, so it's still...
Yeah, it's still Saturday.
Oh, shit. That's right. It is Saturday.
Yeah.
All right. Never mind then. All right, Sean. You have to text me that one, buddy. I don't know what that one was. All right. I tried to cover for you. Because it's technically Sunday over here on the East Coast. So I went backwards a day, but never mind. It didn't work. So, like this game that we have coming up, Matt, like I hate to say this. I'm expecting more of the same. And everyone's like, oh, Brock's back. We got a chance and all that stuff. And I'm going to be completely honest with you, brother. I remember Brock's last couple of games, and they weren't anything to write home about. Mm-hmm. But I want to know how concerned you are about Brock's injury, because I don't know other than soreness, like what exactly is going on? You couldn't throw a ball.
Right. They did multiple MRIs, and it just showed a strain. And, a strain of what? They didn't even really say. They just said shoulder strain. But there was no significant damage, so he was just hurting, I guess. I couldn't tell you. It could have been maybe something as like a bone bruise. It could have been a strain of, any number of muscles there. But I don't know. It is an odd sort of thing. And really this week he didn't throw a lot until I guess Friday. yesterday was when he really started throwing. And what an odd game to put him back in. I mean, this is, and I'll get into, I guess we're going to talk proper. I guess we're moving on from the Packers game and going full into the Bills, which is great. But this is a weather game on the East Coast, and not just like a weather. It's bad enough that it's like weather, during the daytime or whatever, but this is a primetime game. This game is going to kick off at 8:20 on the East Coast.
Yeah.
I want to look at. I mean,
it's going to be snowing nonstop. They've literally been plowing the fields. They started plowing a couple hours ago.
It's going to be 26 degrees at game time with snow.
Which, by the way, the temperature is great football weather. I don't know if you guys have ever actually played football. Like I like playing football in the 30s and 20s, like high 20s to mid 30s. That is great because the more you move, like it now just feels natural, right? Like that actually feels good when you're active and you're actually out there moving. But you would think that, all right, having Brock back in there, the passes are going to be safe. The ones that we have to attempt, they should be accurate, and we should rely on the run game, right? But if we're being honest, if you go back and look at how many times we've been running the ball since Christian McCaffrey has returned, I don't think the Niners have attempted more than 19 rushes a game since since Christian McCaffrey's been back.
Yep. I would expect that to change, though, honestly. I think both teams are going to run the ball a lot.
Well, the Niners can't tackle, so I do expect the Bills to run the ball. The Niners can't tackle for shit.
Well, the Niners aren't going to be able to pass either, because one thing I know about Brock Purdy is that in inclement weather, he's going to be very ineffective.
Yeah, wet balls, he does absolutely nothing. He vanishes.
He does not have a super strong arm. He also has small hands because he's obviously a small guy. So they better. I mean, so to me, it really is odd. If it was up to me, it'd be like, and again, this goes to they're only a game outside of the division, right?
Which sucks, right? Because the players I feel like are packing it up, but the division's within reach. It's within reach, but I feel like the players are tapping out. I really, really feel like they're just not buying into it. And I'm blaming it on the effort that I saw specifically in the last game. The lack of effort says that the players are giving up. Now, the one bright side is maybe you got some guys trying to make a name for themselves and trying to stick around on the team. Maybe we'll see a Jalen Moore go out there.
By the way, I did see, which, again, I knew what kind of game this was against Green Bay. I guess they had back-to-back 12 men on the field penalties.
Back-to-back.
And you could just see, like, Kyle Shanahan was so mad about the first one, he didn't even see the second one.
In the red zone. Yep. Mm-hmm.
But at least I can look at Kyle and him being pissed about stuff and know that at least he's not checking out. You know what I mean? Like, he obviously clearly cares, because here's the thing. It's not throwing your hands up in the air and being like, shit, here we go. Like, he's legitimately getting mad about stuff,
But that doesn't mean that he gives it. Okay, hold on. I need you to explain what you, because here's how I see it. When you are outsmarting yourself, regardless of the penalty, like those penalties happen at the end of the game. Those back-to-back inside the red zone, like they needed to score and get in the end zone on those drives when we had those back-to-back penalties. That was the end of the game. What about the other 55 minutes of that game?
I mean, listen, you have to understand from the perspective that I'm only going off of the little things that I've seen. Okay. So I don't have the full context. But when I see somebody about special teams or defense or whatever that's mad about the effort things, not necessarily the game plan things, which you don't have as much control over in terms of, like, if you do your game plan and you execute it, if the defense takes it away, sometimes it's like hats off to the defense. They did a great job, right? But shooting yourself in the foot with the 12 men on the field and things like that, that's so easy to just throw your hands up and be like, here we go again. This, but he's showing that he's still invested in that, even that little minute thing, even in a game where they're losing, even in a game where it's later in the game,
I would agree. I see another one. I would agree, but here's the difference. Get mad when it's your side of the ball on the field fucking up. That's what bugs me the most about Kyle. We get the impassioned and like the rage when the defense is on the field or when the special teams fucks up. What about your side of the ball that couldn't
I
sustain
feel like
the fucking drive at the end of the game?
I've seen him mad at the offense for the holding penalties and the stuff like that. I've seen him mad about the misses that they've had. I've seen him, jubilant about the makes that they have. Like famously, him celebrating Brock Purdy dropping that ball in a bucket to Christian McCaffrey. And like Shanahan just like pumping his arms and he's like ready to go. You know what I mean? I think it's just more apparent when we also have to understand that it's the coverage that the media is giving us, right? So I don't know. I don't think you have to worry about Kyle Shanahan not being wanting to be competitive, as opposed to some players have checked out. Namely, a certain captain who throat punched a teammate 2 weeks ago and then couldn't be seen for media, and who tried to make some bullshit excuse on his trash show. How many times is he going to say at the end of the day in 5 minutes?
Oh man, yeah, and that comes from people not being comfortable talking, and not. For
it
nothing,
also comes with somebody stalling to make up some bullshit excuse.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. When I first started podcasting, I had there's a word for it, but it's like not jargon. It's like filler phrases and words that you say to buy yourself time to formulate.
It's a pause phrase. Yeah, it's a pause phrase.
Yeah.
And it's something so that he can sit there and think of the next thing that he's going to say. And what I find is that when people don't know what they're talking about, they need that time to think about what they're going to say. If you're full of shit and you're bullshitting somebody, you need that time. Okay, what can I say out here that's not going to make me look bad? That's going to, be team friendly and like media training and all this stuff. And for him to be like, oh, usually they come and get me like when I have to do media, but they didn't come and get me. So I just left. It's like, come on, brother.
Yeah, like we're not.
Like we know that shit's not true. Come on. Listen, I was born at night, but it sure as fuck wasn't last night.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And so this becomes my issue, which we started with the show with, right? It's like these captains. I don't think we read that message, by the way, the super chat.
Let's go back to it. Sorry about that.
I started with
go ahead and we'll get to this right after we'll answer.
I started with the captains now all of a sudden being the questionable ones, other than George Kittle. Right, like Trent, you got worse.
I would say Warner too, Debo, because he's playing through injury. I don't think Warner's is an effort thing.
No, I don't think so either.
I've never questioned Warner's effort or his desire to win. And I've always been impressed with Warner's ability to come out like he did after the Green Bay game and be like, "Yeah, man, that was fucking embarrassing."
Exactly.
You know what I mean, like we should. I
appreciated that. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm not so I would say Kittle and Warner I'm not worried about at all in terms of their captaincy. I'm not even really worried about Brock as a captain because Brock wants to compete.
Did you hear what Debo said about people questioning his captain patch?
I don't know. I couldn't get through at the end of the days.
It was along the lines of well, there's nothing Kyle or John can do about it because the players vote me in. So I'm wearing the captain patch proudly.
I mean, I think that's a pretty bad attitude to have about that. Like, too bad or whatever. Too bad, so sad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know
if they thought he was a golden helmet guy when he came out.
All right.
Yeah.
Greg Vento.
Yeah. Greg Vento, thank you for the super chat. Easier to change staff or players? Too thin for the DL scheme, too slow for Kyle's play calling, too thin in our depth, too much injuries to overcome. Mike, you want to take that?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with it's easier to change players because talent is going to rise to the top, right? Mm-hmm. You just throw enough bodies at it. There's a reason why you get almost 100 guys to start your season, and then you can find people, right? Well, what you do is when you hire your staff, you're stuck with them for the season. Kyle does not do in-season firing. It doesn't happen here. It's not going to happen in this organization.
To be fair, most teams with expectations don't do in-season firing either. So, like if you told me before the season, right, the Bears were going to fire Matt Eberflus, would I have been surprised? No, not at all. I would have been more surprised that the Jets were underperforming to the level that they are. Right. Like if you would have told me, oh, a New York team is going to be without a coach, I would have been like, oh, Brian Dable's getting fired. 100% is Brian Dable. Because the Jets on paper had talent, right? So that's more of a surprise to me than a Bears or whatever. And, again, you don't typically see good teams do any type of firing, even if there is a side that's like lagging. The Chiefs aren't firing their wide receiver coaches, even though for the big first half of the season they were trash, right? In his first 9 weeks or whatever, Patrick Mahomes had 9 picks. Like he had like 10 straight games with an interception or whatever it was. You're not firing your quarterback's coach because they're winning games. So I think that now that the 49ers are here, I wouldn't get too comfortable with that Kyle doesn't fire people mid-season thing, because if this keeps trending the way that it's been trending, we might see that.
Well, to be continued, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Overall, I think it's weird to get Brock out there again. I do think that it's the one game out of the division thing. But there is one thing. Everybody obviously knows that the Bills are probably the more talented team at this point, or at least the team that's putting that talent to use on the field in a way that's winning the Bills games. Mm-hmm. So you could argue if everybody's healthy, the 49ers are just as talented as the Bills. One could argue that, but the Bills are actually putting it together. Yeah. They're putting it together on the field.
They're executing, guys. That's the word. It's execution. So, and when you look at the players that we've lost, we are now down both starting corners in this game. We're down a starting defensive lineman.
Is Ward not playing?
I thought. I
think he's playing this week. I thought that they were saying that this was going to be his first game.
Well then, welcome back. I thought you said his name on the injury report.
No, I said that he had missed games with the personal issue, but he should be back this week. Yeah.
Okay, so then let's hope so. So that makes me feel a little bit better, right? All right.
Okay, so everybody in the chat saying Ward is back. Yeah. Lenore is out. That should be like a 1 week thing. It sounds like he just has like a contusion to like his thigh.
Okay, cool.
It sounds like he took an impact there, and it's just causing soreness. And so that could be the same thing, like a bone bruise or something like that for Brock Purdy as well, which was causing soreness or whatever. Do we know if? Said Matt, this one can't say that. I don't know. I must be missing something. I don't know. Oh, is this in reference to Deebo Samuel? 1? I don't know. Anyway, do we know if Renardo Green's going to play? I know he had like the neck thing. Is he going to play?
Let me pull up the final injury report because I'm not sure, and I don't want to say anything wrong because they'll crucify us for misspeaking right now. So I'll pull that up while you keep going.
Yeah. My thing is, I look at the weather as the great equalizer. Even if there is a talent disparity, rain games, snow games, they're ugly. I feel like it's going to be lower scoring than normal because it's going to be really hard to move the ball. We've seen good teams get beat by bad teams in bad weather. So I wouldn't expect such a big disparity of score between the two teams just simply because the weather.
Yeah. Green is questionable. So that's good. He was limited in practice all week long.
Yeah.
Also, Jacob Cowling appears to be back completely for whatever that's worth. Dominic Pooney was a full participant in the final practice on Friday. So that's a good sign as well. We should get him back in there. Our best offensive lineman so far this year. Take that for what it's worth.
Sure. And, it's not my problem with the team is that they just haven't been playing up to their talent. And so I think a bad weather game is actually going to help that a little bit because it's going to be cold. You're going to be more focused on what you're doing rather than like John on the sideline or like you're just going to be sitting there like trying to keep warm. And again, I don't know about you. Like when I played football, the weather games like always got me amped up to play football. Even if it was sloppier, I knew that it was going to, you mean to tell me that Fred Warner, who loves hitting dudes, isn't going to be super excited to hit a dude in the cold knowing that it's going to hurt more?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he's like, I'm going to put a thumping on these guys. And if you're looking at the 49ers needing to run the ball more because Brock Purdy, 1, is injured, 2, it's a snow game. why wouldn't you think that this would be the game that maybe you see a little bit more of Jordan Mason? Give him the 1-2, man. Like, give him the 1-2. There's opportunity there. And before you answer, I want to pull this up because I need to address this immediately. Fuck no, I'm not. I'm not sad. Ronnie Bell is gone. Fuck no. I'm a Michigan fan, but he's not on my Christmas list at all. I'm happy that. And dude, this is so. There's the other superstitious aspects of it, right? Where I feel like the 49ers might be able to steal one. One, Ronnie Bell is gone. That's some bad juju off the team. Two, Josh Allen got engaged. I feel like the universe wants to smack people down a little bit. You can't be that good a quarterback and get engaged to this super hot chick and be rich and be on a good football team and whatever, and not trip over your own feet every once in a while. Like,
and his ex posting mad shit underneath the fiance's Instagram page.
She's so bitter, dude. She's so bitter.
Oh my God.
She's
wow.
So bitter.
So who is she dating now? Because she was like, the difference is my man owns a team and doesn't play for a team.
She not dating Josh Allen.
But like, what is she dating Tom Brady now? Like, who is?
Oh no, what's this chick's name? Somebody put her name in the chat. I'll look it up.
Yeah, because I have no idea who she's involved with. But she said the difference is my man now owns a team and doesn't play for a team. So I have no idea who she was throwing shots at. But I was like, wow, Brittany Williams. All right, look at you, Mark. Brittany. Man, Mark, let's go. Shout out to Mark for y'all are like the tabloids, man. Like, this is stuff that I don't get involved with the players' personal lives. So this is stuff that it's never really bothered me. So while Matt is looking that up, I'm going to ask you a very simple question now, because you're talking about him getting engaged, right? Do you think Brock Purdy is playing worse this year because he got married? And I
think Brock Purdy's. Oh, you want the answer? I mean, I gave you.
Wait. Hold on. I got a little bit more for you. Here's why I'm saying that. Boxers don't fornicate prior to fights. I'm just going to put that out there and then see where you want to go with this. Do you think Brock Purdy's playing worse after being married? Mr. Christian,
That's actually an old wives' tale that has been physiologically debunked, just so you know.
Oh.
Like, the effect is so short-lived that you would have to, like, fuck right before you played for it to make any difference whatsoever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's not really true at all. And actually, you get it after man, we're getting too deep on this. After ejaculation.
But Papa J says the same thing.
You actually get a boost, a short-term boost in testosterone output. So you would actually think you would play better.
All I know is I make better decisions when I go out. If I deal with my wife before going out.
Listen, that's post-nut clarity. That's just a scientific fact. We all know that. Come on now. Now, I think, has he been playing as well since he got married? I will say no, but I don't think it's because he got married. I think it's because the 49ers throw fucking little nibbles at the offensive line rather than like getting some real capital. Like, everybody loves Dominic Pooney, and don't get me wrong, I love Dominic Pooney too. However, he was a third-round pick, and they like struck gold with him. It's not like they put these super high. They haven't drafted a first-round offensive lineman since they picked McGlinchey. Yeah, right. And again, it's another
second-round lineman,
Aaron Banks.
Oh yeah. And everyone's all of a sudden out on him.
I thought somebody else in the chat. I'll go back. It's Terradome. It's offensive line, because you have a declining Trent Williams who can no longer actually prop up Aaron Banks. Everybody ever noticed that Aaron Banks seemed to get better when Trent Williams came to town?
Well, wait, he was here the whole time that Trent was here.
Are you sure?
I
thought he played his first season next to Joe Staley.
No. Did he? Because
I thought
hear me out, because Trent played. I thought Trent played next to what's the guy that went to the Jets? Oh my God, why is his name escaping me right now?
Let's see.
What's the guy's name?
You're right. No, you're right. You're right. Laken
Tomlinson. Thank you. The Terradome is on point, man. Let me give him a bomb.
Staley was gone. Yeah. So okay. So Trent Williams came to the 49ers in 2021. So same season, I believe. That was because that was the season that Staley retired.
Right.
and then
We
they
traded for
replaced
Trent,
him
or
with
signed Trent. He finally came back to the NFL. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just like listen. I've been the biggest hater of Colt McKivitz forever, and I'm gonna say his name properly. But when Colt McKivitz isn't even your worst offensive lineman, like y'all fucking up. Y'all are fucking up.
Trouble.
Jake Brendel is the 38th ranked PFF, has him ranked 38th center in the league. Overall grade.
There's only 32
There's only 32
starters.
teams, which means he's worse than every other starter and like 7 backups.
And backups, replacement level guys, and he's still just getting the. And this is what I say. This is what makes me wonder, like, what Kyle is doing. Like, and Kyle talks often about, like, I'm not the guy that dictates the starters and not, like, that's the position coaches. He says those things, right? We've seen Kyle call plays, and he's like, I don't know what set of receivers are out there. This is just the play that we're calling, right? But like, doesn't some of that responsibility fall back on you as a head coach, as an offensive coordinator? Forget being the head coach for just a half a second. Like, doesn't that responsibility come back on you as far as knowing your personnel that's on the field?
Like, if you're looking at the offensive line and you keep running Jake Brendel out there, at what point as the head coach do you sit there and go to Forster and go, Chris, what the fuck? We got nothing better than this. We can't go get something better than this.
Right.
Yeah. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, Terradome, don't be fooled, brother. McKivitz hasn't improved. His running mate has. Just like McGlinchey was carried at Notre Dame. Just
Pooney.
Pooney is carrying McKivitz to he's eating a lot.
And I've seen Pooney disengage and move over because the center's got him. All right, let me go help the tackle.
Let me go help McKivitz. It's the same reason why people thought Banks was improving, because he was next to Trent Williams.
So, I mean, it is what it is. I am hoping that this weather becomes the neutralizer, so to speak, right? So normally, if you have a bad weather game, the team that's way up here tends to come down a little bit, and the team that's way down here seems to play a little bit better because of the inclement weather. We're going to just run the ball, and we're going to get back to basics, right? So, unfortunately, the Niners are in that position, and I don't know what the line is for this game. I want you guys to remember something, though. When the season started, the Niners were favorites in every game. The last 2 games, I know the Niners have not been favored in.
Yeah.
So I doubt that they're favorites in this one as well.
Buffalo -6.
There you go. So they're 6-point favorites. They're 6-point favorites. I mean, and that's with the weather. So we have to see what happens, man. We have to absolutely see what happens.
Yeah, and listen, Josh Allen, for as good as he is, does have some tendency to get a little loose with the throws, right? Like he'll throw some wild ones out there. And in the inclement weather, if a receiver's going to slip in the snow or like fall down, or the ball's going to be, wet or whatever, there are turnover opportunities. And that's the other equalizer in weather games. You don't know which team is going to have the random, weird, weather fueled, this would never happen on a perfect ideal day type of turnover. They typically happen. And you got to look at that as something that's a stark possibility. And we've seen plenty of bad teams play. I mean, we saw it Thanksgiving, right? We've seen teams that should have been blown out actually play decently, or, at least until the last 28 seconds, play decently and have a shot at winning the game. We saw that with Chicago and Detroit. It's still the NFL. It's still any given Sunday. And when you add weather to the mix, it becomes something that the 49ers can, take advantage of if they come in focused. And we talked about it when we were previewing a lot of the games. It's like, what is one thing that you think, what's one word that is a key to victory for the 49ers? And I said it then, focus, right? Execution, playing 4 quarters of football without all the mental errors. And they have yet to do that. So Mike, going into this game, again, let's take focus and execution out of it. Let's just assume that they're going to play well. What other, or you can even assume they're not going to play well. Other than focus and execution, what are the keys to victory for the 49ers? Or at least the keys to keeping it competitive?
I got you. And I'm not going to beat around the bush either. It's coaching. This is all on play calls and scheme. This game is 100% on that. So there's a lot of replacement level players that are going to be in here. No Aaron Banks. We have no idea who's going to be playing left guard, right? There's no Trent Williams. We think it's going to be.
I think they said who was playing left guard. And it was some name that I
Burford probably, right? It's probably going to be Burford. Oh no, it's not Burford.
No, it wasn't Burford.
Either way, but no Aaron Banks, no Trent Williams. So that means the left side of your line are both replacement level guys, right? No Diamador Lenore. At least one person in the secondary is going to be a new starter out there, right? And now here's something else. Diamador Lenore slides inside during 3 wide receiver sets. Maybe we don't see a ton of those because of the weather. So knock on wood, that helps us out. But in the event that they do decide to go 3 or 4 wide receivers, now you're going to have 2 replacement level guys out there instead of just one.
Thank you. It's Ben Barch.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So, it's like it's going to be Feliciano.
No, he's done for the year. Pockets the cheesecake. He's done for the year and maybe done forever, if you believe him.
Yeah. Yep. Fuck his family. Listen to him. Like it's a wrap for him. So, but my point is, it's a lot of replacement level guys that are going to be starting and playing significant snaps in this game. I need the 49ers coaching staff to really know their personnel, know their strengths, and realize that we have to depend on the run. And I hate to say this, especially in this kind of game, we got to fucking tackle. We cannot. There was this play in the Packers game, Matt. It was more than one of them, where we met Aaron Jones. Not Aaron Jones.
Not Aaron Jones. Josh Jacobs.
Where we met Jacobs behind the line of scrimmage with not one but 2 players. He gets away from those guys, and it's an 8, 9, 12-yard gain. It happened multiple times in this game. You are doing nothing for the team if you get there and can't make the tackle.
I heard your Jersey boy was not looking good out there.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't good for any of them.
I heard his was a lot of effort stuff too. So the 2 players that I saw with the effort was Jake Brendel and Jair Brown.
Yeah. And I don't know if it comes down to trying to overcompensate, because at a certain point, I think Brown got worse in the second half, and that could be because Lenore was a little banged up. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you're right. So we see guys like, not that I want to be clear what I'm about to say, because I don't want anyone to try to misconstrue it. We've seen Fred Warner overcompensate when it's not a veteran linebacker next to him, right? Like Fred Warner plays better when Campbell's on the field with him. For whatever reason, I don't know. Maybe it's because he just trusts that the veteron is going to be assignment, right? He might not make the play, but I don't.
D. Winters causes him to try to do too much.
Yes, right. So was Lenore? Not Lenore. Was Jair Brown maybe trying to overcompensate for the lack of Lenore being out there and all, and playing a little closer to that side? I don't know what it is, but it looked terrible. And these guys they have to go out there, do their jobs, be in the right place. You're a safety, dude. Like, the ball shouldn't be going over your head at any time. You're a safety. Like, please. Like, they need to really wake it up and get back to the basics out here. We also are going to need Debo and or Pearsall to be factors in this game. I don't know the last time I saw Pearsall catch a ball. I don't know the last time I saw Debo catch a ball. I think Debo may have finished the last game with 1 reception, honestly. And I'm just saying that, but it felt worse. It felt worse. 0 impact on the outcome of this game, of the Packers game. We can't have 2 starting wide receivers be invisible. We can't. And even in this kind of game, right? Are you guys going to tell me that this is going to be the game that Juwan Jennings just continues his streak of being the 49ers wide receiver 1 this year? Like,
right?
Do you feel confident in going into this game that way? I just don't. I don't know. You can't tell me a good game that Jennings has had that the Niners have won. It speaks volumes when Jennings is the man on the field. It tells a story. Juwan Jennings, oh man, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. Niners lose by 6. You're wasting time. There's a reason that guy is the one getting open. So, we're going to need guys like Pearsall, first round pick. We're going to need guys like Debo, second contract, like top dog out there in the wide. These guys are going to have to step up and do their jobs. And that's going to, when I say do their jobs, I'm not just talking about receptions. I'm talking about blocking. I'm talking about running the right routes to pull somebody with you to open shit up for other guys underneath. Let Jawan Jennings go off if you're doing your job on the opposite side and going to clear the path for him once he gets the reception. You know what I'm saying? Like that, those are the things that I'm looking for. And you said it earlier, get the fucking running back rotation going back, right? We don't need to run Christian McCaffrey in the ground. Now, the last 2 games, that's the one thing I have not complained about. 13 carries here, 16 carries there. That's not running him into the ground. Fine. But if he's struggling to get going, it can't be twofold. It can't be Christian McCaffrey needs a lot of carries to get going, and we're only going to run the ball 19 times in a game.
Yeah,
you don't have that opportunity then. So if he's going to struggle to get going, then give the ball to fucking Mason, because this guy was the league leader, second, third guy for the first 5 or 6 weeks. Like, then give him the fucking ball back. What are we doing? So I just want the coaching staff to make the right decisions and know their personnel. That's what I really want. That's my focus for this game.
Yeah, my focus is, similar to that. It's, fundamentals. It's fundamentals. We talked about it, and Nick Sorensen, one of the reasons why I can't stand him is just the deflection on the tackle issue. Like his explanation for how they're tackling or how they're, why it doesn't make sense to me. And it seems like a cop-out answer. And to me, it's going to be a war of attrition. There's going to be sloppiness on the offenses. I think that just needs to be baked into the cake just by virtue of how much snow there's going to be. It's probably going to be windy. Both quarterbacks, if they have to throw, are going to be spraying the ball around. Don't look for a 300-yard Brock game. That shit ain't
hell no.
Shit ain't happening.
You know what, Matt? See, and this is what bothers me. This is really what bothers me. Based off of what I've seen this season, and this is going to sound terrible, I wouldn't be surprised if Brock Purdy had 28, 30 attempts. Like I hate to say that. Yeah, it's super sad. It would not surprise me when the dust settles, Brock Purdy has that many attempts, and there's no reason why he should.
You can tell how competitive or non-competitive a game if you take out the score. I can't see the score, right? And you show me how many throws Brock Purdy has, I can tell you whether or not the 49ers were competitive and or had control of the game. Because the more dominant the 49ers are, the less he throws. He's going to throw like 22 times in like a blowout win. You know what I mean? Just because he didn't have to. Then you run the ball and you try to get out of dodge or whatever. But yeah, unless he's throwing slants near the line or like tunnel screens or whatever, like this is not a game where you're going to be pushing the ball down the field. Not with this weather. It's too much of a risk. You're already got a quarterback with a sore arm. What you want to throw in 9 routes all game? That you're not going to do that. And with this patchwork offensive line, why would you want him to drop back and throw that much? Run the ball, do what you can do. I would expect this to be one of the shorter Sunday night football games of the season, especially if both are running a lot. If both teams run a lot, we could see a lot of what we saw in the first half against, I want to say, Seattle, where it seemed like the first half just blazed by, right? The both teams were being relatively, consistent with completing passes and running the ball. Even if they were stalling between the 20s, it wasn't a lot of stoppage time. And I would expect a lot of that, Yeah. And again, so the fundamentals, because like my guy, no tacos, no life, which I totally agree with, no tacos, no life. Josh Allen's going to be running that ball, and they need to be able to take him down. So a lot of fundamentals.
He's a big physical quarterback that does not mind lowering his shoulder.
Yep.
Jumping over people. Josh Allen lays it on the line every single game. And, I know people talk about Kyler Murray and his ability to run on the 49ers and all that. This guy's a little bit different. Kyler Murray will run out of bounds. He's not trying to run anybody over.
No, this is going to punish people.
He doesn't give a fuck. You talked about Fred Warner wanting to hit people. There's a part of Josh Allen that just he's wired like a linebacker. He's just going to go out there and do his thing, and he's going to get up and flex on you. That crowd's going to go crazy, and all that's going to do is make that adrenaline go through the roof, and he's going to be ready to do it again on the next play.
Yep. All right, Mike, let's wind this thing down. I don't know if there's any much more that we can say to prep for this game. Although I will say this, dude, if people, please lower your expectation for Jake Moody in this game. Like, it's going to be hard as fuck to hit a field goal in this game.
Well, the balls get wet. They're heavier. They're harder.
Yep. And again, you're talking about there's going to be wind swirls. It's going to be like they're going to have to do the thing where they clear the snow off of the spot, right?
Man.
Just temper your expectations, guys.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Mike, offensive, defensive players of the game, and then we'll give our final score prediction. Offensive player of the game, who are you rolling with?
I'm going to take some low-hanging fruit here, and I'm going to go with George Kittle. He's the one name that we haven't said a whole lot today, whether it be from blocking or just being the guy closest to Brock Purdy when he does have to pass. This feels like naturally a George Kittle type of game to me. I'm hoping that he goes out there and he can be the captain on the field that we need to step up and rile the troops. You know, like maybe he can be that emotional spark on the offensive side of the ball. He's a guy that I have not seen tap out. He's a guy that you won't hear me questioning his heart and determination out there. So I'm going to go with George Kittle on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, that's a good one. George Kittle currently leading the 49ers in both receiving yards and receiving touchdowns for the season. So that's a good shout. There's something about me that feels like this is the perfect game to get Christian McCaffrey rolling. I don't know why. He just seems like, a lot of people think that he's the finesse running back. Nah, man, every week this dude is bleeding all over the place, right? Like he likes to get grimy, and this is going to be a grimy ass game. And so I think he's going to actually, perform fairly well. I don't want to give a final stat line, but I will say that I think that this is the first game of the season where he averages like a very good, I would say 4.6 yards per carry in this game.
Whoo. Oh man, I hope you're right. God, I hope you're right.
I'll throw it out there. 4.6 yards a carry, and he'll have his first 100-yard game.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh, you are buying into this Ohio State Michigan thing. Okay, I see what's happening. He's culling. All right, I got you. It's cool. I see what you're doing. All right, I'm with it.
Yeah. So, Mike, defensive player of the game. Who you got?
Oh boy, this is going to be a tough one. It's going to have to be a defensive lineman that's going to step up in the absence of some of these players that we have here. And I don't think it's going to be about pass rush. I think it's going to be about the defensive tackles. I'm fuck it. I'm going to go with Malik Collins. Man. He's gonna have to be the run stuffer. He's gonna have to stop Cook right up the middle there. And if he can't stop him, at least lay a shoulder pad and a forearm on him to bounce him back a little bit, so other guys can go out there and clean it up, slow him down for Fred to get there or Campbell or whoever it's gonna be. But we have to make a difference in the run game on the defensive side of the ball to be effective. I don't expect a ton of passing from the Bills. Now, here's the crazy thing, right? If there's a quarterback that's built to throw in this kind of weather, it's Josh Allen. He's got one of the strongest arms in the NFL. So,
sure.
But the issue with them is on the flip side, yeah, he might be able to deliver, but Coleman's not that guy. Shakir's not that guy. So, and then they also have Samuel, also who's been Curtis Samuel's been kind of passed around the league. So, while he may be willing to deliver, he doesn't have the best pass catchers out there. So I'm going to go with the run game. We got to stop the run game. I'm going to go with Malik Collins.
Okay. I do think that they need to put a cap on Dalton Kincaid, who's going to be a threat in the passing game for sure. But I fully believe in feel-good stories. I fully believe in playing inspired football. And so for that reason, I am going to pick as my player of the game Charvarius Ward, the returning Charvarius Ward. I think that he's going to get some horns. I think that much like Marquise Goodwin, much like Brett Favre, much like a lot of other people that lost somebody close to them, that you perform your best when your heart is in it and when you're trying to return to, some sense of normalcy. I think that he gets a pick six on Josh Allen.
Nice. Nice. Okay.
People are bringing up Amari Cooper as a receiver who could give the 49ers trouble. I don't know if in this iteration of Amari Cooper, how well he's going to play in bad footing.
It is confirmed.
I don't see him as that guy.
Out.
Dalton Kincaid is out. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have to worry about him then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Charvarius Ward, that's my pick for defensive player of the game. Mike, your final score for the Buffalo Bills hosting the San Francisco 49ers.
I'm going to go with 24-17. You want me to say who?
Yeah.
Oh man, Buffalo.
All right. Hey, that's fair.
I think that 17 number just gets the Niners. We'll get a touchdown here or there and a random field goal.
Gotcha.
I mean, it just feels right. It feels right for the 49ers. And again, with the way that they've been tackling or not tackling, I think they're just going to bust some big runs, and that inexperience in the secondary, guys are going to be out of position. They're going to take the wrong pursuit angles, especially in the snow. They're going to get some stupid big gains here or there, and it's going to lead to a touchdown or two that shouldn't happen. They're going to earn a real touchdown on a solid drive. That's 3 right there, so you're up at 21, and they'll probably end up getting another field goal. 24-17 Bills.
Okay. I'm going to call it 19-16 Buffalo. I think it's going to be a competitive game. I think it's going to be a sloppy game. Ultimately, I think that the Buffalo Bills just have more talent, more desire than the 49ers at this point. It's tough to go on the road, primetime, East Coast, and a snow game against a really good team. I think that the 49ers avoid the dreaded 17 number, but that's by coming up one more short of that for the 16 number. Yeah, it's definitely a tough ask for the 49ers to do. That's tough ask for Brock Purdy.
That number 16, though, I mean, other than safeties or 2-point convert, like you're talking about a touchdown and 3 field goals. Like you said, don't count on Rudy in this game.
Oh yeah, but I think they're all going to be chip shot field goals. I think the 49ers are going to continue their red zone woes, particularly when in ideal conditions they don't separate, and now you're asking them to do so with bad footing. It's just who are you going to throw the ball to?
Right.
And when you can run the ball between the 20s, but when the field shortens up, then you're going to, they're going to stack the box and dare you to beat them outside, which I don't think they can.
That comment you had up there 2 comments ago now from Nigel Crane, it's the people in Buffalo have always done this.
Good fan base, dude.
They've sent stuff to, what was it, a couple of seasons ago, Cincinnati, for knocking out somebody that allowed them to get to the postseason or something like that. They sent like $1 million. The fan base ended up sending over $1 million to one of the players on Cincinnati's charity and stuff like that. Yeah. They do those kind of things very, very frequently. So solid fan base. So crazy. They hate tables. They love their team. Yeah, and they love the NFL. They give to others all the time. So shout out to the fans up there in the Bills Mafia.
This is a non sequitur, right? But I mean, kind of. We're talking about a snow game. They're talking about building a new stadium that would be domed. Do you think they would lose some sauce from not having the weather?
I don't know how much, but yes, absolutely. And mainly because of what you were doing to affect the fans, right? They give away tickets. They lure the natives and the locals in by saying, hey, if you guys come in and help us shovel for an hour, we'll give you tickets to the game.
And they're doing that right now, by the way. I've seen it on X. They already got the snow plows in there doing all the whole thing.
Yeah, and so this is kind of a tradition up there in Buffalo. You're literally going to take that away from the community at that point, and they take pride in that. That's something that they really, really take pride in. And not only are you going to get people that are going to go out there and clear this out, at, I'm going to say no charge, but the tickets, right?
Sure.
That means that they're also impassioned and loud fans that are going to be out there through the duration of these bad weather games.
Yeah.
So you're going to lose.
I mean, think about it.
Seats.
They're going out there to shovel snow, right, in the dead middle of the night for the pleasure of going to sit down on their ass and watch football in the snow in the middle of the night,
soaking wet in the cold. I mean, those are committed fans, and you're gonna. I'm not saying you're gonna lose those fans, but you are taking them out of that stadium. You're changing that atmosphere and that environment if you do that. So
yeah. Perfect. Well, that's going to do it for us, guys. Go ahead and put your final score predictions, by the way, in the chat. We want to see those final score predictions. If you get one right, we will give you some merch for that. Nobody's really gotten it yet. So, yeah, go ahead and give us that. And then Mike.
Shovelers. Yeah, right there. So
No
they changed it this year, huh?
Yeah, they must have changed it. They gave them out for the playoffs last year. I know that.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And those tickets cost more. Like, I'm surprised they're not doing it.
Yeah.
These are probably the most expensive tickets of the game, though. It's a primetime game.
I wonder if you could go on like a third-party seller app like Game Time and maybe get some cheap tickets. One, because it's snowing. Two, because the 49ers aren't as good as everybody thought at the beginning of the season, and people are just trying to get rid of their tickets. Mm-hmm. We got 35-10 Bills from Damon Rooks.
Jesus.
24-7 Bills. Ooh. Rob D, 36-20.
Won't put
in
a team
2017.
Ian Sharp is the only one that I know for sure just said the 49ers.
Yeah, Ian Sharp. 23-21. Mark Cisneros, 2013 Bills. New stadium isn't a dome. That's not what I heard. Terradome says 12-15 Niners.
All field goal game, huh? Okay, Terradome. All right, let me go pick up Jake Moody. Y'all, let me see if he's available in my fantasy league, man. Let's see, man, because if that's the case,
hold on, brother.
That's 5 field goals.
I'm looking. Listen, hold on.
Matt's.
I'm looking at the rendering of the stadium.
Is it retractable? Because that means you both are right. Is it retractable?
Hold on.
Give it to him. Come on. Let's call it a truce. Here we go. It's coming.
Dome. Let's
see. What we got here?
I'm still looking.
Oh man, Ricky Pearsall. I feel so bad for that kid, man.
No, I'm gonna give it to. You know what? I'm gonna give it to him. So it looks like it's similar to Hard Rock Stadium, where the domed part is actually just like over the stands, and the field is open.
So they're still going to have that little box over.
This seems kind of crazy, though, when you think about the NFL and how they feel about hosting Super Bowls.
Well, I don't know if you know that when the Giants did it a couple of years ago in their new stadium, I shouldn't say the Giants because they share it with the Jets, but you know what I'm talking about. The up here
East
in the
Meadowlands. Yeah, the Meadowlands.
They said that it had to be closed in order for them to even get it because they didn't do it. The Super Bowl used to have these rules where it had to be a certain temperature average throughout the NFL season, and the Northeast just didn't qualify for it. MetLife, yeah. They just didn't qualify for it. So if you can control that temperature, that's why they gave it to them. But, that was a big effort.
Who's to say? Yeah. I just think
17-3 Niners? What makes you think the Bills are only going to get a field goal? That's the stuff that I don't get. With all these replacement level players, no Bosa, no starting corner, Dre Greenlaw's not back despite him being.
Let's just say, for the sake of argument, they did win 17-3. Is that a their back moment?
It has
with
to be.
Replacement
Absolutely.
With replacement level players like that.
Kyle Shanahan doesn't beat top 5 in AFC teams. Period. I don't care if you're talking about Cincinnati, you're talking about Baltimore Ravens, you're talking about the Bills. Kyle Shanahan does not beat the Chiefs. That's 4 right there.
I like this.
Kyle
Any
Shanahan.
Given Sunday, baby.
Yeah, whatever. I saw the movie too. But
listen. So he doesn't do Chiefs. He doesn't do Bills. He doesn't do who'd you say? The Bengals. He definitely doesn't do
Chiefs,
Ravens.
Bengals, Ravens. Those are 4. What's another top AFC team?
He could
prove
beat
me wrong here.
He could beat Pittsburgh. That's for sure.
We did beat Cincy, Mike. When are you talking about?
Right.
I'm not even kidding. The greatest. Like when do we beat Cincy? And this is kind of my point. Like it's like.
Oh, we didn't beat New England when New England was still good. That's for sure.
Colin Kaepernick did, but I'm talking about Kyle Shanahan.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah. In the Shanahan era against New England, I think Brady beat us those couple times.
Overtime with Jimmy Garoppolo. Look at that. We have to go back 3 seasons. Oh, that's fine. All right, I'll give you guys that. That's cool.
It is what it is.
But didn't we just play them?
Cincinnati last year, I believe.
Yeah. What was the outcome of that game?
We lost.
Oh, okay. All right.
We lost. Hey, Terradome, New England is
He
stinky as
said,
fuck, dude.
He
I said with
said when they were
Garoppolo.
good. He
When
said
they
when
were
they were
good.
good. Yeah.
They're stinky as
stop.
shit, dude.
So,
And we
all
didn't
right.
beat New England by as much as I wanted to, or they should have.
Right. So,
Because remember, that was still
it is what
Jacoby
it is.
Brissett. That was pre-Drake May, who's giving him a little bit of juice. But
I do have to answer. This is my emergency line for work.
Yeah, go for it. All right. Yeah, so as Mike is talking on the phone, I'll keep talking to you guys. Keep putting the score predictions out there. Nigel Crane says pick 6 by Fred. Man, this is a tough ask, guys. This is a tough ask. Terrado, Miami has never been a top 5 team in the AFC during the Kyle Shanahan era. Never once. Never once. Three years ago, point is Kyle beat Cincy when they were a top 5 AFC team. Ian Sharp, no, New England dynasty is long gone. We're talking about when has Kyle Shanahan ever beat a top 5 AFC team? And they played the Patriots, I believe, when they were still, the Patriots. Also, Kyle Shanahan still has to hold that 28-3. And it wasn't with the 49ers, but he's going to hold that for the rest of his life for sure. Anthony said we need to retool this offseason. Totally agree. Everything good, brother?
Yeah, they couldn't reach one of my on-call drivers because they're calling the wrong one. So,
there you go. Got to set them straight.
Right. Yeah,
we beat McDaniel's Fins 2 times a year. He said top 5.
No.
He said top 5.
I said top 5, and the Dolphins don't beat teams with winning records. So, no, not counting that.
He's undefeated or 1 loss the Brock Purdy first game. And then how'd they do? That's like saying the Eagles were a great team last year because they had a great first half and then they fell apart.
Mike picked the Dolphins in that game. Yes, I picked the high-powered, fast-ass Dolphins against a Mr. Irrelevant who had never played before. Like, what the fuck?
Well, actually, technically speaking, though, you were picking against Jimmy G. Jimmy started that game and broke his foot.
And keep the receipts. I don't give a shit. I was wrong, but so what? Like, what the fuck does that mean?
Oh, Falcons always give the 49ers trouble. Falcons.
What are we doing
the
here? That's
Vikings always give the
NFC.
49ers trouble. I know. I'm just going through the list of teams that the 49ers can't seem to beat.
Oh,
Falcons is one.
I got you.
Vikings is another. Like, they can't beat the Vikings to save their fucking life, man.
Yeah.
I don't think Kyle Shanahan's ever beaten the Vikings. Except in the playoffs that one year.
The Niners haven't beat the Vikings in years. Like, you remember the streak that we discussed before?
We haven't won. We haven't won in Minnesota since like 1992 or some shit like that.
No, it was like it's in the 80s. I think it's like 85 or some shit like that. 49ers.
I don't know. It's preposterous.
First,
just Baltimore and KC.
Vikings.
No, we can't. When's the last time the 49ers have beaten Buffalo?
Oh, stop it.
Right.
Stop it. And then last time we did play them, it was like 50 points or something like that. Like,
bro,
dog
last time they played the Buffalo Bills, Kyle Shanahan was like, fuck it, I'm drafting Trey Lance.
Yeah. Let me get one of those guys that can run like that. Yeah. Right.
He said, oh shit.
The Niners.
He's like, wait, maybe I shouldn't get Kirk Cousins. Oh no.
The Niners at Minnesota. Here we go. I just pulled it up here, man. Do you really want to know the answer to this?
1992, he says 1992 when we won.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. That was the last time we beat them in Minnesota.
That's crazy.
Ridiculous. It's 2024, guys.
Yep.
Anyhow, I just don't see us beating this team tomorrow. And listen, like this is one of the things, Terry Dome talking about how, I picked Miami that game. Like, yeah. And I also said things, was it the same season where I was like not Detroit. Cleveland has a better defensive line than us, and we went out there and dog walked the Browns, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we were all over their court, right? Listen, I'm okay with being wrong. That doesn't bother me. We're just picking games,
yeah, that's
right?
Fine.
But what does it have to do with tomorrow? These guys have shown no heart at all. So picking the Niners, I think that's just a lot of fandom right now. I don't think there's any sensible person, and I'm not saying part of being a fan is losing the common sense and going with and finding ways for your team to win. I'm a little tapped out on that right now. I haven't seen it from the coach. I haven't seen it from the players. I haven't seen it from the captains. There's no one to right this ship. There's not even an owner that I think is going to step in and light a fire under the coach's ass. I don't know where the corrections are supposed to come from right now. And that's my biggest issue. I just don't see where the corrections are coming from. And yes, Terry Dome, that is the saving grace for the 49ers. Someone else said it earlier. Any given Sunday, upsets happen. That's it. That's the only way to do it. That's the only way to do it. Everybody out here picking the Niners to win, you don't think they're gonna win. You hope they win, and it's going to be what's called an upset because they aren't expected to win. If they were expected to win, it would not be called an upset. That's what I got for you guys.
All right, guys. Mike, tell the people where they can find you before we get out of here.
Yeah, thank you all for rocking with us, man. You guys were phenomenal in the chat today, man. A little round of applause for you guys. I'm gonna cut it short here. You guys were great. You guys were phenomenal. If you guys don't know already, give me a follow. My social media handle is right there at the bottom of the screen. It is Mike Andrews 83. That is my X handle. And if you guys don't already, if you're watching on the 49ers Hive channel, please come on down and give us a follow on the Nothing But Niners channel. I would really appreciate it. And then we also have the Patreon page. It is patreon.com/NB9ERS. We will be live there tomorrow. And because it is a primetime game, if you just want to be there for the atmosphere, just join the $1 tier. You don't even have to subscribe to the $5 tier and higher. So go on over there, patreon.com/NB9ERS. I have 2 shows coming to you guys exclusively on Patreon tomorrow. So make sure you guys are there.
Absolutely. That's sweet. Thank you guys for joining us here tonight. Hit like, hit subscribe, join us for all our content. We'll be doing a review or recap show probably at the same time we do the Bears preview. Yeah. I would imagine it's going to be pretty late tomorrow to do a recap show.
I will still be doing an overreaction show.
On this show, I mean. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, on this show.
It'll be super late for me over here on the East Coast, but I don't care. I mean, I'm going to work in zombie mode. I just switched offices again, so we'll see what happens. Dude, well, hopefully, let me just tell you this really quick.
Yeah.
Sorry, super
no,
random,
you're good.
right? So my job hired a new branch manager, right?
Okay.
So there wasn't a branch manager. We had operation supervisors, myself and another guy. I do the drivers. The other guy does the warehouse staff, right? And we had the regional manager who was the person we reported to. They hired a middleman in there, and he's now the branch manager. They put me in an office next to this lady in respiratory, and she was saying that the traffic into my office was so distracting to her and her patients. So she complained to the branch manager. Okay. I am getting the branch manager's massive office because he wants to appease everyone, which is cool, right? I get it. Sure. Like, you don't want to upset anybody. But he's moving into my office, which is just slightly smaller. It wasn't a lot smaller, it's just a little bit smaller. Yeah. And so I got a new office when he came in, and now I'm getting his office and he's getting mine. I can't wait to go to my office. The thermostat is in my office for the whole section of the building that I'm in. I'm going to piss a lot of people off because I like the temperature a little bit lower than everybody else. So I just thought that was interesting. Have you ever been in a situation like that? I know what you do for a living, but have you ever seen like someone trying to appease people? And it's like, dude, I wouldn't have done that if I were.
Yes. I saw that today, actually. I mean, listen, we had a situation at work that was actually appeasing to the point of endangering people.
Wow.
So I don't want to go more into it than that necessarily. It's pretty sensitive subject, but like it was something that a lot of people were feeling very uncomfortable with. And there is a point where it's law of diminishing returns. It's like there's a difference between being a courteous person and somebody who likes to facilitate things, and then there's somebody who's like gonna bend over so far backward. Listen, sometimes you need to have a steel spine to undergo some of the pressure that you're under. That's just how it is.
It's okay and even recommended to be a dick sometimes. Like that's just how it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Anyway, well, I'm glad you got a nice cushy new office and you're gonna get to, kick back, relax with a nice thermostat that you really like. Hopefully it keeps you nice and toasty, because I know you're over there in Pennsylvania, right? You're in Pennsylvania? Yeah, with those awful winters. Yep. No thanks. My wife would never go. She would leave me if I moved to the Northeast. She'd be like,
snow. My family loves the snow. My dog loves the snow, man. He runs and flips in the snow. I've never seen a dog do it before.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully, we have a better outcome this week. I don't think either Mike or myself or many of you realistically think that the team is going to win, but just be competitive.
Yes.
That's all.
Yeah.
And then move on to a very winnable game in Chicago, which I will be at live, by the way, and we'll talk more about that. So if you do see me live, come up, say hello. We can toast a beer together or whatever the case may be. We'll talk more about that in the coming weeks. We got to get past this one first. So, Sunday Night Football, nation's eyes on us. Hopefully it's not too ugly. With that being said, for Mike, for myself, Zach, we missed you tonight, but he's out there somewhere. We love having you guys here. We couldn't do this without you. So thank you as always for joining us. And until next time, go Niners.